Going back 2 or 3 years ago when you would go to your Chinese restaurant, having duck pancakes would be a special treat. These days, because duck is so accessible, you can make them at home and you can even make your duck pancakes. So what I've got here is some pecking roast duck legs, and these are so easy to cook. I'm going to put these into the oven at about 200 degrees and warm them up for about 20 minutes. If you like, you can cook your own pecking duck, but to be honest, it takes so long. So I want this as a quick treat, a really fast canapé if you like. So doing it this way, heating it up in the oven for 20 minutes is the best option. So instead of doing a traditional Chinese pancake, I'm going to do a traditional French pancake. And the reason I'm doing this is, number one, I know the recipe off by heart, and number two, they're really easy and they actually go really nicely with this because they're quite thin, almost like handkerchief thin. So to start with, I've got 75 grams of plain flour straight into the bowl. I'm just going to make a little well in the centre, a pinch of salt straight in there. Okay, so I'm adding butter to this recipe, so 25 grams. And by adding butter to your crepe mix, it makes them a little bit richer and makes them nice and golden. So I'm just going to melt that on the stove. And while that's melting away, I'm going to add 1 egg. Okay, and that goes straight in that well. Okay. And we're just going to give that a light whisk. And once that starts to get nice and thick, I'm going to start adding a little bit of the milk. So a little bit at a time. And we'll just keep adding that. Okay. And then once you've got almost all the sides in, you can be a little bit more aggressive with it if you like and just add the rest of the milk. And the butter, which is ready. All I do is pour that straight into the mixture. Another good mix. Okay. What I like to do is allow that batter to rest in the fridge for about an hour, and then once that's done, you can start cooking them. Right, so this has been resting for 1 hour, and you can see it's just thickened up slightly, okay, and that's exactly what we want. Not too thick, but just enough to hold. Okay, so I've got a crepe pan here, and these are seriously good investment. For me, I use these if you want to make a crepe for breakfast or make these duck pancakes. They're so good because they're also non-stick, which is fantastic. So instead of using butter for this, I've got some rice bran oil, and we're just going to lightly grease that away from the flame, of course. So I'm just going to show you how to do the first one. So what I like to do is just tilt the pan and just put the crepe right in the centre, and then just gently move it around the pan like so, just adding a little bit more if you require. Again, we want them to be really nice and thin because the pancake is only half of this dish. We want to make sure we taste all that lovely duck and the cucumbers. Okay, so we'll let that set for about 30 seconds on this side, and then we're going to flip it over. Okay, last pancake. That's almost ready. And while I was cooking the pancakes, I removed the duck from the oven just to cool down slightly so I don't burn my fingers. And what we're going to do now is just remove all the meat from the bones. So I'll just get a little knife here and I'll just slice that down there, okay? And I like to use my hands for this. So I'll just remove that from the bones. And then what I like to do is just shred it into bite-sized pieces. You can actually cut it into even smaller pieces, so about 2 centimetres by 2 centimetres here, okay? So straight into the bowl. What I love to do is make these pancakes ahead of time. You actually make them in the afternoon, cover them with a tea towel, and they'll be completely perfect for the evening. It's looking good. Into the bowl. So for the hoisin sauce, about 2 tablespoons of hoisin, okay? Being quite generous with that. A pinch of Chinese 5-spice, straight in there, okay? And what I've got here is a little bit of sesame oil, so make sure you only put 2 or 3 drops into to this. If you put too much, it's going to overpower it. So now I'll zest half an orange straight in. Again, this is not traditional at all, but it really freshens the whole dish up, okay? Also, not traditional, but I love just a little bit of crunch to this. I've got some cashew nuts here, okay? And I'm just going to roughly chop those. And you have that softness of the pancakes, but then a really nice crunch of these. I think it's a really nice addition to do at home. Fantastic, straight in. And I've got some spring onions here. So we're just going to finely slice them. Again, straight into the bowl. And of course a cucumber. So I'm going to use half of this cucumber and cut it in half. I'm going to cut it into 4 and then we're going to cube it. Right, so that's our pancake mix. So just going to make sure that hoisin sauce coats all the cucumbers, all of that duck, and of course those cashew nuts that we added. Okay, so now we're ready to start wrapping our pancakes, and we're going to cut them in 4, okay? And then we're going to place them on each other. So to present this, I like to do it in the non-traditional way. I like to get a bowl, and we're going to spoon the duck and hoisin mixture into this bowl, place it in the centre, and because these are really small pancakes, we just arrange them around the plate. Everyone can help themselves. To be honest, such an easy dish, not the traditional way, but this one tastes even better than the traditional way.